show. And I just want to say I enjoyed our conversation thoroughly before this, in which we talked about resilience. I thought you had a really good definition of what resilience is. So if you can go ahead and enlighten our listeners to what that is, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think of resilience, I think one of those, it's a bit of a misconception when we think, oh, someone is really resilient. We think, oh, someone has like this big heavy armor around them and they're just fighting through and they're pushing through and nothing really, shakes them. But that's not really what life looks like, right? That might be in a movie the case, but in real life, we all sort of have feelings, right? And we feel the rejections or we failures that as we see them, and we have emotions and setbacks and breakdowns and the
Yeah.
highs and the lows. And so resilience doesn't mean to put an armor on and just to push through. It means to be able to recognize what is happening, to take charge of my own destiny, like I'm becoming the CEO of my mind and
Yeah.
making choices to rebound quickly. And so the official definition would be regaining equilibrium fast, so rebounding from a setback faster faster than average, or just in a way that is serving you and serving your mission.
I love that. And I like what you said about you're not like putting on this shell or this armor. I'm having flashbacks to some of my meditations I've had in the past, and where the instructor would say things like, don't resist the bad thing that's going on right now. Don't resist the pain. Instead, they would say, just become aware of it and work with it. Because when you resist things, that's oftentimes one of the worst ways to get through something. So I really like the point of self-awareness you brought to the table. And if we can steer listeners more towards that path, I think we'll have a lot more healthy job seekers here.
Yeah,
So
totally. And actually, it's a great point, because it's sort of that you have to look at the wound. Like you have to, don't just put a Band-Aid on it and fight through, right? You have to, in order to heal the wound, you have to actually look at it and fix it.
exactly.
And so actually, that pain that you referenced, it's a blessing. It can be a beautiful teacher.
Exactly. And so I want to think in the context of, actually I should let's think more broadly real quick. What are some of the challenges I might face within my career or as a job seeker? Why is resilience so important? What am I going to face?
Yeah. And this is the type of work, right, that in the conversations that I have day in and day out, because what we usually see from the outside is the success and progress and promotions, because those are the things that get talked about and celebrated publicly. But what we don't see is, all the stuff that happens behind the scenes.
Right.
Even sometimes when people say, I don't need a coach, I'm already successful. And you probably get this too. Like, why do I need help finding a job? I've done this in the past successfully. But then if we were to actually look under the hood, we would see that, all the successful people and the people who land amazing gigs, they all had help, right? They did it with people who guided them along the way, who helped them understand their patterns and figure out what's working and what isn't. And so in my work, things that I uncover often where resilience is just such an important or critical factor in developing sort of long-term sustainable success is when someone doesn't get the promotion that they wanted, when someone
Okay.
gets rejected from, they make it into the final rounds of interviews. And then you have this, oh my God, it could be so close. In 2 weeks, I could be starting my dream job. And then you
Yep.
get a no,
Yep.
right? We
The
don't hear about this
emotions. Yeah.
publicly, but it happens. Layoffs, just talking about recent events of the many layoffs that happened where someone felt really secure in their career and their job. And then one day they walk in and get laid off. Big setback. And then what do you do with that? How do you internalize that? And what do you make from this experience? It can either help you accelerate in the future and make you stronger, or it can impact and impair your ability to perform and to go for it again.
Absolutely. And these are all things that, a lot of people, regardless of what industry they're in, they're going to go through within their careers. So it's, I think rejections when it comes to your job search are important, but, also applying it to that person who just feels like they're stuck and they're just doing everything they can and they're not really moving anywhere. So I think this is such an important thing to work on. But for the skeptic who may think like, okay, resilience is important, I get it. Why why do you think it's so important to actively work on resilience as a concept? Like why what's the point?
Yeah. You know, this can really, that moment when something happens, and it can even be, hey, I was up and I had a big presentation in front of the whole organization and it flopped. This can either be the moment where I think, okay, this sucked. I feel upset. I'm sad. I'm frustrated with myself. And then the next day, I'm like, gosh, I got to figure this out. I can do better next time. And I start sort of going to the gym, and we talked about this, right? You gotta
Yeah.
go to the gym, you gotta lift the dumbbell, and you gotta build the muscle. And so you actively practice and going for it. Or it can then mean that, you know what? You know what? I am not meant to be a public speaker. And so then I'm determining and defining myself as not being a good public speaker. And I will avoid anything where I have to go back on stage or hold a big presentation in front
Uh,
of a large group. And that decision in the moment of what will I do with this experience, that can change. It can alter someone's career and alter the
right.
trajectory of someone's career.
Right, absolutely. And so I want to get into kind of some of these things that are going to help out with that. So let's start from the top. How can I begin building that resilience that is going to make me a better person? What's step one in your opinion?
Yeah. So I think that step one is really understanding that resilience means still to feel it, but then to get back up. So that immediate just self-awareness of, hey, I am in charge and I can actually choose how I am, what I'm thinking and what I am doing with those experiences, their setbacks, where resilience is going to be that critical factor to catapult me forward, or the catalyst, and that I have control over this. So there's no such thing as a genetic disposition of either you got it or you don't have it.
Mm,
This is all within our power, with our own, you know, our own choice to say, I'm going to get better at it. And some people have already done the work, or because of their childhood, it's easy for them to get back up on their feet, while others have to do a little bit more work at it. They have to
yes.
go to that gym more often. They have to lift the dumbbell more often.